This chapter is called Visiting Day, It's Nice to Be Nice, and Hitting the Jackpot is Even Nicer Still. Let's just say the story has a twist. The morning of the trade show arrived, less than 1 hour before the convention center doors opened and thousands of attendees streamed into the exhibition hall. My cell phone rang. It was Jacob back in New York City. "Listen, honey," I said, "I can't talk now. The show starts in 40 minutes. Our booth was bustling with greeters, the 40 employees from our client's company, not to mention the Broadway actors we hired to perform 10 shows each day." Hurrying to finish the call, I added, "I love you, I'll call you tonight," and Jacob cut me off. "Lisa, it's Jonathan," he said, urgently. I stopped breathing. Just hearing my son's name spoken with such worry by my husband made me feel as if someone had punched me in the stomach. Nothing else mattered. I quietly told my Box Street team to go through the show one more time with the actors. Then I slipped out. I walked as fast as I could to reach the end of the trade show floor, but it still took at least 8 minutes. Music was blaring throughout the aisles so that I could barely hear him, and I was worried I might lose connection. When I got to the end of the aisle, I ducked under a canvas tarp surrounded by silent hydraulic lifts, inert tractors, and discarded signage. "Jacob, are you still there?" I cried out, feeling desperate and afraid. "What's happening?" "The strep infection didn't go away," he explained. "He has heart damage and neurological damage. Lisa, you need to come home right away." As my body absorbed the news, I sank to the concrete floor, unable to stand up. Jacob's words reverberated in my head while my body tried to keep it together. Heart damage, neurological damage, twitching and drooling. I did not understand. Although I heard my husband clearly, I could not process anything he was saying. I asked him to repeat himself at least 10 times. I somehow managed to open the show while Jacob booked the first available flight that would not leave until midnight. Early that evening, I hosted a celebratory dinner for 70 people at Wolfgang Puck's restaurant, though my mind was thousands of miles away with my son in New York City. I rushed to the airport for my flight. It wasn't until I arrived at the gate, where all the seats in the waiting area were taken, that I walked to a corner, sat down on the floor, huddled next to my suitcase, and finally allowed myself to cry. They say when you grieve every trauma you've ever experienced. Right then, my body flooded with memories of Gary's childhood asthma, searing memories of the times he'd collapsed on a soccer field during a heated match because he could not catch his breath. My parents rushing him to the emergency room, while other soccer parents offered to drive me to their home after the game until my parents and Gary returned home. Unable to be with Jonathan, just as I was unable to be with Gary then, I now sat huddled on the carpeted floor in an airport all the way across the country. My sobs grew louder until several people hovered around me, offering kind words and tissues. At 11:30 p.m., I boarded the overnight flight to New York City, leaving the trade show far behind.